Good morning, everybody. It's Marty the JavaScript party. Rhett's out in the living room. I'm very time constrained today because we're gonna do some fun family activities, and I'm really looking forward to it and all that stuff. But with that said, we are coming up on this. There's a bug I'm trying to figure out, and it's like, unfortunately, it's a bug that is like I don't really know exactly how things get done, but the problem is, and I'll show ya. It's always good to just familiarize yourself with that. Like I remember, I haven't had a whole lot of comments, maybe a couple hundred, probably one comment for every 100 videos. But um, one guy once said something along the lines of, he really enjoyed my shows because I always start from the foundation and come back up on in every video. I start at the beginning. That is exactly how I start every coding session. That is a fundamental part of my coding session is generating a narrative in my mind and then testing my narrative. Um, so, and I think that, that is like, unfortunately, that has just become a critical part of being a software developer. So anyways, I'll put that right there. As you can tell, I'm experimenting a little with my window placement. So I'm going to add one of these guys, add viz. All right, so what we see is that when we open this, there it is. We have our visual component ID, and if we open up our visual, which is 9, and if we open up our visual, this, we have the ID of 9. Now, and I did want to, like, kind of like everywhere I've ever worked, we usually start off with some sort of console log for like logs like this. And then what happens is once we get rolling, or then we end up building a table, like some sort of page that you can go to and see the same stuff. And then they make you get rid of the console log. And I've always thought that was a mistake, and I never knew why because it was gone. You can't really think of, oh, but it's harder to think of things that don't exist. But so I left it, and then I thought I had nothing. And now, when I was trying to debug, and then I looked at the console, and it was already, all my information that I needed was there. But as you can see, we have this viz component ID of this now of 9, right? And so we clear this out, and then we go into our new view, which in behind the scenes, what it did is actually completely destroyed that old one and came up with a brand new one. Uh, so let's look in here, and well, maybe I was wrong. Well, that is wild. Okay, so yeah, yesterday, if I remember correctly, the next one was 11, so I had this theory that it only worked if it changed. But that theory has just been destroyed because it stayed at 9. It got destroyed when it came back, it was still 9, and now we still have a viz component of 9, right? So that's how this can that all of that is just so that we can get access to the actual Angular components. So I'm pretty sure we have a dictionary somewhere or an array. We have some kind of data structure that has references to all these actual Angular components, and this is a key, a token, a key token, token key, token key, um, to get that from probably like a Viz component service would be my guess, if I remember. I mean, I don't remember, but that would kind of the pattern I've been following. That would probably be where it goes. So now, if we went now, the last part and the most important part of the whole um, story here, the whole set of words that describes what happened. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Is when we look in here, we have a viz component of 9, but when we open this guy up, it says the viz component is -1. So this isn't getting populated. So when I go to get when I get my instance of this in my code, it doesn't have the component IDs. Yeah, it doesn't have the component ID, so I don't have any way of getting the component. So that is the bug that needs to be fixed. And of course, it's not at all visible in any way, shape, or form. And the reason we were able to, the reason that this even came up is because when I went to code the last part of this configured view and I went and got my viz component, what time are we leaving? 15 after? Okay, cool. Um, so when I went to get this thing and I didn't have a component ID, so I couldn't get it. So then I couldn't move the whole thing over to 200. So like we don't know what the bug is, but we do know what it leaves behind, and what it leaves behind is that. So now I'm assuming that if I were to go back here, so my assumption is when I go back to a different view, it'll be right again, or it'll be populated again, I guess is the. See, this time now the component ID, and so it just goes to show that what's happening behind the scenes, timing and all that, is not consistent, right? Like, um, when we move from one thing to another, yeah, it just like sometimes it the order that these things are executing is not consistent. Um, which I think like Karma Jasmine, that whole unit test system sort of was built under the foundation that computers would behave in a very reproducible, consistent way. And once these things timings started changing because I think just the architecture of using like a synchronous loop to do things, once that happened, like all the foundation that Karma and Jasmine was built under, and I don't know if it's Karma or Jasmine, but whatever system puts all those tests together and executes them in an automated way, all of those just quit, like the foundation was removed from underneath them. I think that's what happened. So anyways, we do have a viz component ID, right? And then we go here, open this bad boy up. It recycled properly. We got a component viz ID of 9. And then go here, go back over here, open the new one, and we end up with a viz component ID of -1. So, that's the thing. I'm curious if I close this and open it. It used to be that like when you would look in the console, it would show whatever the current value is, not the yeah, so you would lose it, but so they've definitely that's a huge improvement on the console. All right, so we've got to figure out how this viz component ID works. And we did a search of viz component ID just to see where it gets assigned, but that did not yield any anything. We know it gets assigned properly when you go up the chain in. I see the way this is the architecture of this whole system is that let's close this down. We have okay, let's close our interfaces. Now it looks like I'm in components and layouts. So, we have basically four layouts, and then they kind of handle. I think they must handle their own thing. So let's go to, I think custom layout might be easier. So I'm assuming that what I probably did is I probably said, okay, yeah, so this is not the right place. I mean, I probably have it like, yeah, okay, so if we come in here, let's just do it. App viz. So I'm assuming that when app viz comes up, it calls something. It's probably and it's like after after view whatever thing. So that I'm trying to just guess what I would have done before. I do not have this documented. And even if I had it documented, it'd probably take me longer than just going through the code. But I don't know, that's a whole argument. And then so we're going to go to our components and then viz component. And so what I'm looking for is, well, while I'm here, I'm just going to delete this. And I will spare you my Karma Jasmine rant. Um, see, I have my own service here, so that's interesting. All right, so what are our yes. Okay, so after view of it init. So I'm assuming something's happening in after view init because that is the first time this will even be able to provide an actual reference to the actual component. So, okay, let's look at the variables. Component visualization service, viz component service. I think this is my local one. Visualizations service. Oh, well, I'm wondering if this, okay, visualization service. All right, so see, even a dimension change should end up causing, I think, a redraw, maybe. Update dimensions signal handler. Okay, after viewing it. So we get our native element, and then we go to the visualization service, and we have it calculate positions. All right, so that is, see, it wouldn't even surprise me if that thing would have showed properly. I don't know. Who knows? Render in native element. Okay. Constant update dimensions. Then I pass it native element. Jeez. Okay, so delete viz by component stid. Okay, so we have our viz component service. I'm wondering if it's this one. It's probably this one. Okay, and this one has access to the st renderer service. Now, like inside of me, I'm like, ooh, I think there's a good chance that I totally misunderstood this bug. This st renderer by. Oh man, I don't. Ooh. So we have this render thing. That seems like a good one. Render a native element. Okay, so let me see. It is, I need to double check this. Ugh, console. This is the, what are you? The ST visualization. So it's not the renderer ID, it's the visualization. Man, I'm really befuddled here. Okay, so let's go to ST service. I'm sorry, not FStViz service. So I was going from like the top down. I was going, or from the bottom up. I was going to look in the component and try to work my way up to whatever sets this, and that ended up being a dead end. So now I'm going to go to the visualization service and see if I can work backwards from there and figure out what's going on. So, so I'm assuming this is in here, and then guessing this is it. Visualization. And there's a lot in this thing. Reset all stale visualizations. I think, yeah, so this is how it gets set to number one, right? So like, let's try this console.log reset start. Oh my gosh. this. So it'll be a little easier. So it's 3. And then reset end. I'll put like over here when we're all done resetting everything. So basically this goes through all the visualizations and sets their viz ID to -1. So I'm guessing that probably happens as we move through the application. So if we go over here, go here, and then we look at the console, and then we clear this, and I'm looking, yeah, so there's our reset. Oh, interesting. Oh, I must have called them, I must not have named it end. I guess I made both of them start, and that will get confusing. So let's go ahead and, right now, the last thing I need is to be confused. That is my enemy at the moment, confusion. Confucius says, you know what, I feel like maybe this might be more effective docked to the bottom. Should try that, see how that turns out. All right, so we're going to add one of these things, and the reset start and end happened here. Now, when I go to this view, so we got a reset start and end, and then there. And then we go to this one. So this was our research start and end. So here's where it ended up getting set to -1. Now, how it ended up getting set to a new number for the other ones, I guess, is the next mystery, right? So this is how it gets set. This is get visualizations by renderer ID. Okay, so it's probably here. Maybe I don't create it in Pocket. Oh, so console.log. And since those other ones were hashtags, I'm going to use question marks on this one, and it's a create visualization start. And this adding starts and ends to things took me years and years and years to kind of come up with this sort of concept. And I don't know that I've ever demonstrated that before. I think I even forgot that I even do this. But this is a very, like, I'll start just adding start and end to every function in attempt to find things. Yeah, like this is kind of like what I do when I'm absolutely clueless. Okay, create visualization, start and end. So we never got a reset. We got to create and start and end. Okay, so now let's go to here. So reset, start, reset, end. So I would have thought we would have got our create, start, and end here. Oh, and it's probably, yeah, the visualization doesn't get created. It's the visualization gets updated with an ID. All right, so how is, so it's not during, so that's not happening during creation time. See, we got created here. It's happening after that, but before this. And what is causing this to kind of come up is probably the creating the new component. So upsert visualization for component. So console log. What time is it? 9:24. Okay, I've got to go. Console.log. And I'm going to use pluses. And I do that so that you can filter if you really need to. At some point, you get so many that you need to filter out the some of them and then get them back and stuff like that. So I always filter upserting. So upsert is a word that I ran across years ago. I think they still use it in object-oriented databases like Mongo and Couch. Um, and um, the like that's and it just means to I'm giving you an object. If the ID already exists, then go ahead and just update the one with this ID. But if it doesn't exist, then don't. All right, so we go here, and do we have upsert? Yeah, we're upsetting, upserting, we're upserting, update. We are not upserting. Okay, so that is the next clue. Okay, so console.log. So I think this was like number 2 of this. So I'm going to go dot, and I think I use like a little notepad. So this is 2 in. I know there's a 1 in somewhere. Um, and then it's like upsert not happening for in edit mode. That's all we know. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Bye.